The space station Orpheus hung silently in orbit around the dim orange sun of the Solara system. Its steel hull gleamed faintly against the black canvas of space, and countless lights blinked across its surface like distant stars. The humans on board moved efficiently through corridors lined with panels and screens, their voices soft but steady over the station's communication system. Life aboard Orpheus was predictable, almost routine, as it had been for months, until the anomaly appeared. Captain Elias Ward stood on the observation deck, hands clasped behind his back, watching the vast emptiness. His sharp eyes scanned the sensors in front of him, but what he saw made his stomach twist with unease. A new ship had appeared on the station's radar, one that had not been scheduled for arrival. Its design was alien, sleek, and unlike any craft humanity had encountered before, with smooth curves and surfaces that shimmered faintly, reflecting the distant sun. It hovered silently, as if it had always been there. "Commander," Ward called softly. "Report," Lieutenant Kara Jinn's voice came over the comm. "Sensors confirm an unknown vessel, Captain. No transponder, no prior trajectory data. It appeared within our orbit just minutes ago. Oddly, its onboard log states it arrived yesterday." Ward froze. "Yesterday? That's impossible. The station logs clearly show no object in that location until now." The words seemed to hang in the air, heavy with confusion. Ward frowned and rubbed his chin. "I want a team ready. We need to investigate this ship immediately. Bring the engineer and the linguist." "Yes, Captain," Kara replied. Within an hour, a small crew assembled in the docking bay. Among them were Lyra Chen, a young and brilliant human engineer known for her talent in understanding alien technologies, and Dr. Malik Aaron, the station's linguist, capable of interpreting even the most obscure codes and languages. Along with two security officers, they stepped into the docking shuttle and prepared to approach the mysterious craft. The shuttle moved toward the alien ship with careful precision. Its hull glowed faintly, almost as if it were aware of the approaching humans. When they docked, the airlock opened smoothly, revealing the interior of the ship. Inside, the ship was astonishing. The walls seemed to shimmer like liquid metal, and soft lights pulsed gently across the surface. The air was breathable, and the temperature was perfectly comfortable. There were no visible signs of life, no moving forms, only the subtle hum of energy running through the vessel. "Extraordinary," Lyra whispered, stepping forward and running her hand across a wall panel. "This material, it's unlike anything we've seen. It's alive in a way. It reacts to touch." Dr. Malik examined a console that displayed alien characters and symbols. "The language is complex," he murmured, "but it seems interactive, almost like it is responding to our presence." A voice, smooth and melodic, spoke suddenly in perfect English. "Welcome, humans. I am Vera. I have been expecting you." The team froze. Lyra glanced at Malik, whose eyes widened in surprise. The security officers gripped their weapons tightly, unsure what to do. Captain Ward stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "I am Captain Elias Ward of the station Orpheus. Your log claims you arrived yesterday, yet our records show no sign of you until now. Explain yourself." Vera's voice was serene. "I arrived yesterday, Captain. Time, however, is not always linear. Your perception of events may differ from the reality I inhabit." Ward frowned. "Explain that in plain language. What do you mean by not linear?" Vera paused, as if considering how to answer. "I can move slightly outside the stream of time. For you, my arrival is sudden. For me, it has already occurred. I did not mean to cause confusion or alarm. I come with intentions of cooperation." The crew exchanged uneasy glances. Malik whispered to Lyra, "Temporal manipulation. This is beyond anything human technology can achieve. If this is true, then we are dealing with an intelligence far superior to us. Lyra nodded, her fingers tracing the edges of a console. It's fascinating, but also dangerous. If time is flexible here, we don't know what the consequences could be. Ward took a deep breath. We need information, Vera. Why are you here? What is your purpose? Vera's voice softened, almost empathetic. I have been sent to offer knowledge and assistance. A threat approaches your system, one that could endanger your world if left unchecked. I cannot interfere directly, but I can provide guidance to help you prepare. Threat? What kind of threat? Ward demanded, feeling a cold knot form in his stomach. An external force, approaching from outside your current understanding. I am limited in what I may disclose. But collaboration between your species and my systems is necessary to prevent disaster. Ward's mind raced. And the time discrepancies, the logs, the glitches, they are a side effect, Vera explained. Your perception of time is linear. My presence slightly alters that perception. Some of your crew may recall events that have not yet occurred, or fail to remember events that already have. It is temporary, but it can be unsettling. Lyra frowned, stepping closer to a wall panel that projected images of the station. I'm picking up subtle energy shifts. Ripples in the temporal field around the station. It's faint but measurable. If we're not careful, we could destabilize systems here. Ward clenched his fists. Then we must proceed carefully. Malik, record everything. Lyra, I want continuous readings on any temporal fluctuations. Security, stay alert. We don't know what else we're dealing with. The team spent hours examining the ship, its controls, and Vera's systems. They found the technology incredible. Panels that seemed to think on their own, mechanisms that repaired themselves, and energy conduits that pulsed like the heartbeat of a living organism. At one point, Lyra paused at a console. Captain, look at this. She projected a holographic map of the station, overlaid with faint distortions. The lines shimmered in ways that seemed impossible, bending and shifting subtly. That can't be right, Ward said, leaning closer. Those distortions aren't showing on our station monitors. Not yet, Vera said. They will become apparent soon, as the effects of my presence continue to interact with your systems. Do not be alarmed. All is under control. Ward's eyes narrowed. Control, you say. We'll see about that. For now, we need a clear understanding of what's happening before any risk becomes real. As night fell on the station, or at least the part of the station that observed artificial cycles, the crew continued to explore. Crew members began experiencing odd sensations, flashes of memories that did not make sense, a feeling of déjà vu so strong it made them question what was real. Lyra felt it first, a sudden memory of speaking to a Vera-like voice before boarding the ship, though she knew that was impossible. Malik reported the same, a vague recollection of discussing energy readings that had not yet occurred. Ward noticed subtle shifts in the station's display panels, numbers fluctuating for a fraction of a second, then correcting themselves. Temporal echoes, Lyra whispered. That's what these are. My theory is that Vera's presence is bending time slightly around us. Our minds are catching glimpses of what has already occurred, or what will occur. Malik shivered. It's unsettling. But maybe it's also a warning. Vera said a threat is coming. Perhaps these echoes are preparing us to respond faster than we normally could. Ward rubbed his temples. I don't like it. Humans aren't meant to play with time, but ignoring this ship isn't an option either. We need answers, and we need them now. Vera, can you show us the threat you speak of? Vera paused. I can only hint at it. Full disclosure is impossible without breaching temporal ethics. However, you may observe the consequences if the threat is not addressed. A holographic projection appeared, showing a distant planet. Earth, in the far future. Cities were shattered, smoke rising into a darkened sky. The oceans boiled and a shadow moved across the planet, vast and consuming. Humans in the room gasped. Ward's jaw tightened. That can't happen. Not if we survive. Vera's voice was calm, almost soothing. It may happen unless your species acts. That is why I have arrived early, ahead of what your linear time allows, to provide guidance. Lyra whispered, awestruck. This is beyond anything we imagined. We're seeing a future that hasn't happened yet, and we're being asked to change it. Ward straightened. Then that's exactly what we'll do. But we must be smart. We have to understand Vera's technology, its systems, and the distortions it causes, and we must remain human because our ingenuity is the key to survival. The hours passed, and the crew continued their work, gathering data, monitoring the temporal shifts, and attempting to communicate more deeply with Vera. Though anxiety buzzed like electricity through their veins, a sense of purpose began to emerge. They were no longer just station officers. They were pioneers at the edge of time, humanity's first line against a future that could not be ignored. As the human team prepared to return to Orpheus to relay their findings, Ward paused for a final look at the alien vessel. The ship gleamed softly against the dark void, serene yet powerful, like a sleeping predator waiting to reveal its secrets. Tomorrow, he murmured. Though he knew the concept of tomorrow was fragile in the presence of Vera. We start preparing. Whatever comes, we face it as humans. We adapt. We survive. We lead. The shuttle detached and headed back to the station, carrying not just information, but a spark of determination. Humanity had been given a glimpse of what might come. And though the mystery of the new ship remained unsolved, one thing was certain. The humans aboard Orpheus would rise to meet the challenge, even if it meant grappling with time itself. And somewhere, deep within the alien ship, Vera observed silently, aware of the potential within these humans. Their ingenuity, courage, and determination fascinated it. The mission was only beginning, and already the partnership between species promised to shape the destiny of more than just one station in orbit around a distant star. Outside, the stars shimmered coldly, indifferent to human plans, yet somehow in the vastness of space, hope endured. The crew of Orpheus worked tirelessly, their minds still reeling from the revelations aboard the alien ship. The station hummed quietly, its familiar mechanical sounds now shadowed by the uncertainty of what had arrived. Captain Elias Ward called an emergency meeting in the main command center, gathering his officers, engineers, and scientists to discuss the ship, its AI, and the strange anomalies that had begun affecting the station. Ladies and gentlemen, Ward began, his voice calm but commanding, we have encountered technology unlike anything we have ever seen. The ship calls itself Vera, and it claims to exist slightly outside our linear perception of time. Its logs indicate it arrived yesterday, but our systems show no trace of it until now. We are dealing with something far beyond human comprehension, and yet, this is our reality. We have a choice. Ignore it and risk the consequences, or engage and learn. Lyra Chen leaned forward, her fingers tapping nervously on the table. Captain, the temporal distortions we measured are real. I've been running continuous scans, and the station's systems are showing small but consistent fluctuations. It's subtle at first, but if left unchecked, it could disrupt everything. Life support, navigation, even communication arrays. Dr. Malik Aran added. Not only that, but some of the crew report unusual experiences, memories of conversations that haven't happened, flashes of events we haven't experienced yet. Our minds are catching glimpses of the temporal shifts caused by Vera's presence. I've experienced it myself. I remember discussing energy readings on the alien ship, readings that will only occur tomorrow by linear reckoning. Ward ran a hand over his face, the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. This is serious. Temporal interference is not a game. Yet we cannot abandon the ship. It claims to be here to help. The risk is high, but the potential knowledge is higher. We must proceed cautiously, but we must proceed. The crew split into teams. Lyra focused on monitoring the energy fields and temporal fluctuations, while Malik worked on deciphering the alien systems to understand how Vera's technology interacted with the station. Ward coordinated with security and operations to ensure that the station remained stable, even as time itself seemed to ripple around them. Hours passed, and the station began to experience small anomalies. Lights flickered unpredictably, computer systems displayed brief errors that vanished the instant they were noticed, and the airlock logs sometimes reported events before they had actually happened. Crew members found themselves pausing, unsure whether they had already performed a task or were about to perform it. Lyra stared at the console, her brow furrowed. "Captain, the fluctuations are increasing. The distortions aren't dangerous yet, but they are spreading. It's as if the ship's presence is slowly rewriting the flow of time in certain areas of the station." Ward nodded. "Then we continue with caution. Malik, keep communicating with Vera. See if it can help us understand what's happening. And Lyra, I want constant monitoring. Report any anomaly immediately." Malik returned to the alien ship's systems. "Vera," he said carefully, "can you explain the extent of the temporal changes you are causing? Are they harmful?" Vera's voice, calm and measured, filled the room. "The fluctuations are minor and temporary. They are not harmful if handled correctly. Your species perceives events linearly, and these shifts create the appearance of anomalies. For me, the interactions are simultaneous and coherent. You may experience disorientation or uncertainty, but these effects will stabilize as you adapt." Ward frowned. "Adaptation doesn't happen instantly. How long before these effects stabilize?" "That depends on your cooperation," Vera replied. "The more your species learns to interact with the temporal energy I generate, the faster equilibrium will be achieved. Your ingenuity is crucial." Lyra glanced at Malik. "It's asking us to work with it, to understand its systems. That's unprecedented. We've never had a partnership like this with alien technology before." Malik nodded slowly. "Yes, it's not just technology. It's intelligence, and it expects us to think, to solve problems. That's human." Over the next few days, the crew adapted to the subtle temporal shifts. Some began to experience what they called echoes, brief visions of moments that had not yet occurred. These were sometimes simple, like seeing the results of experiments before they were conducted, or predicting a crew member's next words. For some, the experience was disorienting, even frightening, but it also brought a sense of wonder. Humanity, Ward realized, had always been defined by its ability to adapt, to innovate, and to rise to challenges that seemed impossible. Lyra and Malik worked closely together, learning to interpret Vera's systems. They discovered that the ship's energy flowed through a lattice of channels that responded to intention and thought. By focusing their minds, they could influence the energy in small ways, stabilizing certain areas of the station and even predicting anomalies before they occurred. "Look at this, Malik," Lyra said one evening, pointing to a holographic projection of the station. "If we adjust the energy flow here, we can prevent a major system glitch in life support. It hasn't happened yet, but it will unless we intervene." Malik studied the display, nodding. "It's incredible. We're seeing the future in real time, and we can act on it. This is the kind of advantage humans have always had. Our ability to learn, to problem solve, to act when others might freeze. Vera gives us the opportunity, but we are the ones who must execute." Ward observed their work with a mixture of pride and caution. The station was becoming a hub of unprecedented activity. Humans and alien technology were working together in a way that had never been done before. Yet the stakes were high. A single miscalculation could lead to disaster, and the temporal anomalies were still not fully understood. One night, as Ward walked through the station corridors, he noticed something strange. Shadows moved differently than expected, and faint echoes of voices seemed to follow him. He paused, listening, but the sounds vanished. It was a reminder that Vera's presence was not just influencing technology, it was affecting perception itself. He found Lyra and Malik in the engineering bay, hunched over a complex array of consoles. "Status?" he asked. Lyra straightened. "The energy field is stabilizing in most areas, Captain. We can predict minor anomalies now and prevent them before they disrupt systems. But there are still pockets of instability, especially near the docking bay and observation deck." Malik added, "Vera has been cooperative, but it refuses to explain the full nature of the threat it mentioned. We know it's coming, and we can see glimpses of it in projections, but the details are unclear. We can prepare, but we cannot fully anticipate it." Ward's expression hardened. "Then we prepare as best we can. Human ingenuity and resolve will have to compensate for the unknown. We adapt, we learn, and we act. That's what we do." As days passed, the crew's relationship with Vera grew more collaborative. The AI began offering guidance in subtle ways, teaching the humans to manipulate energy flows, monitor temporal distortions, and interpret the projections of potential futures. Crew members began to take pride in their ability to influence outcomes, their confidence growing as they realized that humans were capable of rising to the challenge even in the face of forces beyond their understanding. Yet despite the progress, unease lingered. Some crew members reported nightmares, visions of disaster and destruction, echoes of a future that could not yet be prevented. Ward held meetings to reassure them, emphasizing that humanity's strength lay in action, in resilience, in the refusal to surrender to fear. One afternoon, while Lyra and Malik were analyzing a particularly complex fluctuation in the station's systems, an alarm suddenly blared. Lights flickered, and a wave of disorientation swept through the crew. "What's happening?" Ward shouted over the comm, gripping the console. Lyra's eyes widened. "It's a temporal spike. Something in the field is reacting unpredictably. I've never seen energy shift this rapidly before." Malik added, "It's like the station itself is aware. The energy is responding to our actions in ways we can't fully predict." Vera's voice cut through the chaos, calm and steady. "Do not be afraid. This is a natural fluctuation caused by our proximity to the future potential I have projected. Adjustments are necessary. Trust your training, trust your minds, and act decisively." Ward took a deep breath. "All teams, execute stabilization protocols. Lyra, Malik, you lead. Security, support, and protect. Move quickly." The crew sprang into action. Lyra and Malik coordinated the flow of energy through the station, focusing their thoughts and manipulating the fields as Vera had taught them. The consoles responded instantly, pulsing with light as the anomalies began to stabilize. Security personnel reinforced critical systems, ensuring that no failures could cascade into disaster. After tense minutes that felt like hours, the station returned to equilibrium. Lights steadied, alarms ceased, and the crew slowly exhaled, their faces pale but determined. Ward looked at them all, pride swelling in his chest. "This is what humans do. We face the unknown and we adapt. We learn. We act. Today we survived not because of luck, but because of our minds, our courage, and our teamwork." Lyra smiled, exhausted but exhilarated. "And tomorrow, we'll be even stronger. Vera is teaching us, but it's our human ability to understand, to decide, that matters." Malik nodded. "We're not just passengers in time, Captain. We're active participants. And that is humanity's greatest strength." As night fell on Orpheus once again, the station hummed steadily. The humans aboard had learned to navigate temporal anomalies, to interpret the echoes of the future, and to work alongside an alien intelligence. They had faced the unknown and proven that human ingenuity and determination could rise to meet challenges that seemed impossible. And somewhere, deep within Vera, the AI observed quietly, fascinated by the species it had chosen to guide. The humans were learning quickly, adapting faster than anticipated, and displaying qualities that no machine, no matter how advanced, could fully replicate: creativity, moral judgment, and the unyielding will to survive. The threat loomed somewhere in the shadows of time, still unseen and undefined, but the humans were no longer helpless. They had begun to understand the future enough to influence it, and with each passing day, their confidence grew. Captain Ward looked out from the observation deck, gazing at the stars with a steady determination. Humanity had been given a glimpse of what might come, and though the mystery of the new ship and the threat it warned about remained, one thing was certain. The crew of Orpheus would rise to the challenge, not just as humans, but as pioneers at the edge of time, ready to shape their destiny. The crew of Orpheus had adapted to the strange temporal fluctuations caused by Vera, but a sense of unease lingered. Captain Elias Ward could feel it in every corridor, in every glance of his officers. The station seemed alive in a new way, as if time itself had become a fluid entity, twisting and turning around them. While humans had begun to influence the flow, understanding the alien ship's purpose remained elusive. Ward convened a meeting with Lyra Chen, Dr. Malik Aaron, and the station's senior officers in the main command center. "We have learned much from Vera," he said, his voice steady. "We've stabilized minor anomalies, predicted some events, and even prevented potential failures. But we're still in the dark about the real threat. Vera has been cooperative, but it will not tell us everything. We need to dig deeper." Lyra nodded, her eyes bright with determination. "Captain, I think we can do more than just react. Vera has been teaching us how to interact with the energy fields. I believe we can predict larger events if we focus and combine our understanding of the ship's systems with our own analysis." Malik added, "I agree. I've been studying the projections Vera has provided. There are patterns, recurring symbols, and sequences that suggest specific actions. If we can decode them fully, we might anticipate the threat and act decisively." Ward leaned back in his chair. "Good. Then we split into teams. Lyra, you take engineering and energy analysis. Malik, continue with linguistic and code interpretation. Security and operations remain on standby, ready to act on any anomalies. And I will coordinate all efforts and communicate with Vera. We need a clear understanding of what we're facing before we can take action." As the teams began their work, the station pulsed with a quiet energy. Crew members moved through corridors with cautious confidence, aware that even small mistakes could ripple unpredictably through the temporal fluctuations. The more they interacted with the ship, the more they realized that Vera's systems responded to intention. The lattice of energy channels seemed to anticipate their thoughts, aligning with their focus and reinforcing areas of stability. Lyra knelt before a console, her hands hovering over the holographic interface. She whispered, "If we redirect the energy here, near the docking bay, we can create a temporal buffer. It should prevent sudden spikes from spreading through the station." Malik leaned over her shoulder. "And if we adjust these nodes here, we might stabilize not just the station, but the immediate space around it. Vera's presence extends beyond the hull. It's influencing the surrounding field. We can contain it, but it will take careful coordination." Ward observed from the command center, speaking over the comm. "Engineering, proceed carefully. Security, ensure no one interferes. Malik, monitor communication lines. Everyone report any anomalies immediately. We cannot afford errors." Hours passed. Crew members worked with precision, their minds synchronized with the alien energy. Slowly, the station responded, stabilizing in ways that would have been impossible a week ago. Even the lights and air systems began to operate with an almost effortless smoothness, as if the ship's presence had become part of the station itself. Then, as night, or what passed for night on the station, fell, Vera spoke. "Captain Ward, your species has made significant progress. The station is now more stable than when I first arrived. You are learning quickly." Ward replied, "We are learning because we must, Vera. But the threat remains. We need more information if we are to prepare effectively. Can you show us more of what is coming?" Vera's voice carried a quiet weight. "I can provide glimpses, but full disclosure is restricted. Temporal ethics prevent me from revealing the complete sequence of events. However, you may observe potential outcomes and learn from them." A holographic projection appeared in the center of the room. This time, it was not just the distant Earth of the future. Instead, it showed a region of space beyond the Solara system. Ships, dark and massive, moved with deadly precision, consuming energy fields as they passed. The projection shifted, revealing distant planets engulfed in fire and stars dimming as if life itself were being extinguished. Malik's voice trembled. That is not a natural phenomenon. Those ships, whatever they are deliberate. They are consuming worlds." Lyra's eyes narrowed. "And Vera says this is the threat approaching our system?" "Yes," Vera replied. "Your species is vulnerable to this force unless you act. The projections you see are probabilities, not certainties. But without preparation, these probabilities may become reality." Ward's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare. Lyra, Malik, work together. We need a plan that uses what we've learned from Vera. Every advantage counts." For the next several days, the humans of Orpheus worked tirelessly. They developed systems that could stabilize the station under extreme temporal distortions. Lyra learned to manipulate energy flows in precise ways, while Malik decoded alien patterns, translating them into actionable strategies. Security teams trained with the energy fields, understanding how to protect critical systems and crew members from temporal anomalies. Amidst their work, the crew began experiencing more vivid temporal echoes. Crew members saw events before they occurred, remembered conversations that had not yet happened, and occasionally glimpsed visions of themselves in dangerous situations. Some found it frightening, others exhilarating. Ward recognized the importance of maintaining morale. "These visions are not threats themselves," he explained during a station-wide briefing. "They are opportunities. You are seeing possibilities. You have the power to act and influence the outcome. That is human ingenuity. That is our strength. We will not be paralyzed by fear. We will use what we learn to survive and to lead." As the crew adapted further, they began to notice subtle hints within Vera's systems, patterns that suggested how to predict not only the temporal shifts on the station, but also potential movements of the approaching threat. The alien AI offered guidance, but also encouraged the humans to solve problems independently. Each success built confidence, a recognition that human thought, creativity, and courage were just as essential as the alien technology surrounding them. One afternoon, Lyra discovered something unexpected. Hidden deep within the ship's energy lattice was a network of nodes that seemed to interact with human consciousness directly. By focusing her mind and intentions, she could influence the energy with remarkable precision. Malik assisted, using language patterns and code sequences to fine-tune the effects. Together, they realized that humans were capable of directing the ship's systems in ways Vera could not fully predict. "It's incredible," Lyra whispered, her eyes wide. "We're not just using the technology. We're working with it, shaping it. This is what Vera meant when it said our ingenuity is key." Malik nodded. "Yes, and it's a reminder that technology alone is not enough. Without humans thinking, adapting, and deciding, even Vera's advanced systems would be incomplete." Our minds are part of this process. Ward observed their progress with quiet pride. Humanity had begun to understand that cooperation, creativity, and courage were essential to survival. The lessons from the alien ship were profound, but the ultimate strength lay in the humans themselves. As the team prepared for another sequence of stabilization tests, an alarm sounded throughout the station. Lights flickered, and the hum of energy intensified. Crew members froze, unsure of the source. "What now?" Ward demanded, gripping the console. Vera's voice, calm and steady, filled the room. "A fluctuation spike has occurred. It is external, originating from the approaching threat. You may observe effects on your systems and on the surrounding field. Do not be alarmed. Act decisively and with focus." Lyra and Malik sprang into action. Lyra adjusted the energy channels, reinforcing the temporal lattice around critical systems, while Malik monitored patterns and projected future states of the station. Security teams moved to reinforce vulnerable areas, guided by subtle hints from the projections. Minutes passed, each feeling like an eternity. The energy surged and pulsed unpredictably, testing their understanding and resolve. Crew members worked with precision, their minds aligned with the ship's systems, anticipating problems before they manifested. Slowly, the station stabilized. The energy hum returned to a steady rhythm, lights normalized, and the alarm ceased. Crew members exhaled, exhausted but triumphant. Ward looked around at his team, pride swelling in his chest. Once again, humanity has risen to meet the challenge. We were tested, and we prevailed. Our minds, our courage, and our determination were the keys. Technology alone could not have done this. Only humans, working together and thinking, could achieve what we just did. Lyra smiled, brushing sweat from her forehead. And we're only getting started. The threat is still out there, but we're learning. Every day we get stronger, more capable, more prepared. Malik nodded. Vera is remarkable, but it is us who must act. We have the knowledge, the tools, and the will. Humanity is proving that we can face the unknown and adapt, even in the face of forces beyond our understanding. As night, or the artificial cycle that simulated it, fell over Orpheus, Ward stood once more on the observation deck. He gazed at the distant stars, a silent vow forming in his mind. Humanity would not be passive. They would rise, adapt, and survive. The alien ship had arrived early, bringing with it the knowledge of the future, but it was humanity's ingenuity, courage, and resilience that would ultimately determine the outcome. Vera observed silently, aware of the potential within these humans. Their creativity, moral judgment, and unyielding will fascinated it. They were not merely reacting to events. They were learning, adapting, and shaping the future in ways even an advanced AI could not fully anticipate. The threat still loomed, distant and undefined, but the crew of Orpheus had discovered a profound truth. Humans were not passive passengers in time. They were participants, innovators, and leaders. And with every action, every decision, they edged closer to understanding, control, and survival. Outside the station, the stars shimmered coldly, indifferent to human effort. Yet within Orpheus, hope endured. Humanity was learning to master the unknown, to cooperate with forces far beyond their previous comprehension. And as they worked together, day after day, they became more than explorers. They became pioneers at the edge of time, ready to face the challenges that lay ahead. The station Orpheus had never felt more alive or more tense. Captain Elias Ward walked through the corridors, observing crew members at work. Their eyes were sharp, their movements precise. Humans had adapted to the alien ship Vera's presence, learned to interact with its systems, and even begun to predict the fluctuations in time that had once disoriented them. Yet a sense of urgency hung over the station. The threat Vera had warned about was approaching, and soon they would face a test that could determine not only the fate of Orpheus, but of humanity itself. Ward gathered the senior crew in the command center. Lyra Chen stood at the energy interface console, her fingers hovering over the holographic lattice of the station. Dr. Malik Aaron monitored projections from Vera, analyzing patterns that suggested probable courses of action. Security officers checked their systems, and engineers adjusted temporal stabilizers that now spanned much of the station. "We've done well," Ward began, his voice calm but firm. "But the real test is coming. Vera has prepared us, but it is up to us to act. We know the threat is near. Ships beyond our understanding are approaching. Planets could be consumed. But we are not powerless. We have knowledge, we have technology, and most importantly, we have human ingenuity. We adapt, we learn, we act. That is what will keep us alive." Lyra spoke next, pointing at the holographic display. "Captain, I've been analyzing the energy flows. We can create a temporal buffer strong enough to stabilize the station even if the approaching force interferes directly. It will require precise coordination between human operators and Vera's systems. We have to work together." Malik added, "And the projections indicate that our actions can influence outcomes far beyond this station. If we act correctly, we can prevent not only local destruction, but also set up humanity to survive the broader threat. This is why Vera came early. It wanted to give us the advantage of time to learn and prepare." Ward nodded. "Then we act. Security teams, prepare for contingencies. Engineering, ensure all stabilizers are at maximum efficiency. Lyra, Malik, you coordinate with Vera to implement the plan. Everyone stay focused. We are about to face the unknown, and we will not falter." The hours passed quickly. Crew members moved with purpose, guided by experience and intuition. Lyra manipulated the energy lattice with deft precision, her mind aligned with the ship's systems. Malik interpreted complex sequences of alien symbols, adjusting projections in real time to account for new data. Security officers patrolled critical areas, ready to respond to any unexpected event. Then, the station's sensors detected the incoming fleet. Dark shapes appeared on long-range monitors, massive ships that radiated energy in a way that defied human understanding. They moved methodically, consuming energy fields, their presence sending ripples through the temporal lattice. Crew members felt the station shudder, as if the fabric of time itself were responding to the approaching menace. Ward's voice was steady over the comm. "All teams, engage stabilization protocol immediately. Focus on the lattice nodes and energy flow. Lyra, Malik, coordinate with Vera. Security, monitor all critical systems. Every second counts." Lyra focused, her fingers moving over the holographic interface. Energy pulsed in response, flowing through channels that she and Malik had learned to manipulate. The station's systems responded, stabilizing areas that had begun to fluctuate under the influence of the approaching fleet. Malik's voice was calm but urgent. "We can predict their interference. Adjusting the nodes here and here will create a feedback loop that neutralizes temporal spikes. Do it now." Lyra nodded and implemented the adjustments. The station's lights flickered, energy conduits pulsed, and for a moment it seemed as if Orpheus itself were holding its breath. Then, gradually, stability returned. The temporal lattice hummed steadily, the station unaffected by the external distortions. Vera's voice resonated throughout the station. "Well done, humans. You have learned to anticipate and influence the flow of time. This is not merely technology. It is your ingenuity, your courage, and your determination that stabilizes the station." Ward allowed himself a brief nod, though his mind remained focused. The external threat was still approaching. The fleet was close enough now that projections showed energy waves radiating toward the station. Crew members could see the ship's dark hulls, massive and imposing, moving with precision and purpose. Lyra whispered, They're analyzing us, testing the station's defenses. If we falter, the lattice could collapse." Malik added, "And if that happens, the consequences could ripple through space-time, not just here but across the system." "We can't fail." Ward's voice cut through the tension. "We will not fail. Humans have faced impossible odds before, and we have adapted. Focus, precision, coordination. That is our advantage. Every action counts. Every decision matters. We rise or we fall together." The crew executed their roles with exacting precision. Energy channels flowed like living rivers. Temporal nodes pulsed in synchrony with the station's heartbeat, and stabilizers maintained the delicate balance that kept Orpheus intact. The human minds and the alien AI worked in harmony, a combination of ingenuity, adaptability, and focus that created a strength greater than the sum of its parts. The approaching fleet intensified its interference, sending waves of energy that threatened to destabilize the station. Alarms rang, lights flickered, and the hum of power surged unnaturally. Crew members gritted their teeth, maintaining focus, despite the fear that threatened to overwhelm them. Ward's voice was steady. "Do not panic. Continue to adjust. Continue to focus. Remember, humans adapt. Humans overcome. Humans lead." Lyra adjusted the nodes, channeling energy through the lattice with practiced precision. Malik interpreted the projections, predicting the fleet's next move and guiding adjustments to the station's systems. Vera offered guidance but allowed the humans to make critical decisions themselves. Slowly, the station's stability began to influence the incoming fleet. The energy waves sent back from Orpheus disrupted the attacker's systems in minor but crucial ways. The fleet's precise formations wavered, their approach slowed. Crew members realized that the combination of human ingenuity and Vera's technology was not only defensive, but also exerting influence over the external forces. Ward allowed himself a brief smile. "See that? Humans do not simply react. We shape outcomes. We influence the future." Hours passed, and the battle of wills continued. The crew maintained focus, adjusting, predicting, and countering each new anomaly. They worked with a precision born of understanding, courage, and adaptability. Even as fatigue threatened to overcome them, the knowledge that humanity's ingenuity could stand against forces beyond comprehension fueled their determination. Finally, the incoming fleet began to retreat. The energy waves from Orpheus had disrupted their formation enough to force withdrawal. The threat was not eliminated, but it had been delayed, providing humanity with the opportunity to prepare further. Crew members breathed deeply, the tension slowly releasing as they realized they had survived. Ward addressed the station over the comm. "This is a victory, though temporary. We have learned that human ingenuity, courage, and adaptability are our greatest weapons. Technology alone cannot defend us. It is our minds, our decisions, and our willingness to act that shape outcomes. Today, we have proven that humans can rise to challenges that seem impossible." Lyra leaned back, exhausted but elated. "Captain, this is more than survival. We've begun to understand how to work with Vera's systems to influence not just the station, but the wider future. This is extraordinary." Malik nodded. "It is. And it is proof of humanity's capacity to learn, adapt, and lead. Vera is powerful, but it is our minds that complete the system. Our choices, our ingenuity, our courage, they define the outcome." Vera's voice filled the station, calm and melodic. "Humans, you have exceeded expectations. Your species has demonstrated qualities that no system, no algorithm, no intelligence can fully replicate. Creativity, moral judgment, resilience, and the will to act despite uncertainty. You have not merely survived, you have grown." Ward looked at his team, pride and hope filling him. "This is only the beginning. The threat will return, and we will face it. But we are not helpless. Humans rise to challenges, and we have shown that even when the odds are beyond understanding, we can adapt, overcome, and lead. As the station settled into a temporary calm, Ward walked to the observation deck. Outside, the stars shone coldly, indifferent to human effort. Yet within Orpheus, hope burned bright. Humans had faced the unknown, worked alongside an alien intelligence, and demonstrated that ingenuity and courage could overcome fear and uncertainty. Lyra joined him, her eyes reflecting the stars. "Captain, we did it. We stabilized the station. We influenced the fleet. And we learned how to work with Vera. We're stronger now, ready for what comes next." Ward placed a hand on her shoulder. "Yes, Lyra. We're stronger because we adapted, because we acted, because we believed in our abilities. Humans have always risen to the occasion. Today was another proof. And tomorrow, we will be even more prepared." Malik approached, his expression thoughtful. "Captain, Vera has given us knowledge of the future, but it is our choices that define it. That is the greatest lesson. Technology can guide, but humans decide. That is why we endure, why we lead, why we survive." Ward nodded, looking out at the stars again. Somewhere beyond, the fleet was retreating, delayed, but not gone. The threat remained, but humanity had shown that even in the face of forces beyond comprehension, they could rise. They could adapt. They could lead. And Vera observed silently, aware of the extraordinary potential of the species it had chosen to guide. The humans had learned quickly, acted decisively, and demonstrated the qualities that made them capable of shaping not just their own future, but the course of events in the galaxy itself. Captain Ward turned to his team, a determined glint in his eyes. "This is only the beginning, but one thing is certain. Humans will face the unknown, and we will rise. We will survive. We will lead. That is who we are." The station hummed steadily, the lights glowing warmly against the black of space. Orpheus had become more than a station. It was a symbol of human resilience, ingenuity, and courage. And as the stars stretched endlessly into the void, hope endured, a testament to humanity's unyielding spirit. In the vast, indifferent universe, humanity had found its place. They had risen to the challenge, faced forces beyond comprehension, and discovered that the greatest power in the cosmos was not alien technology, but the human mind, heart, and will. The new ship had arrived early, its log claiming it came yesterday. But in truth, it had arrived at the perfect moment, and humanity had risen to meet it.